We're diving deep into today's Faroe's news, pulling from three big sources, Kringvarp Faroe, in.o, and vp.o. We want to give you a clear picture of what's happening, so let's get to it. Ingelin D. Strum, the Landsstyresvinne for the environment, she resigned. Big news.
Definitely a big shakeup, and the details surrounding it are pretty, well, they raise some eyebrows. Kringvarp Faroe and in.fo, they just report the resignation, but vp.fo reveals that she actually offered to resign earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Prime Minister Bararder Stag-Nielsen, he said no at first.
Huh. So what's that tell us, politically speaking?
Well, it could be a lot of things, right? Was there pressure from the coalition? Did something new come up that forced their hand? Makes you wonder how stable things really are in the government right now.
Especially with a vote of no confidence hanging over their heads. VP.fo quotes the Samband's Flokkurin chairman, Barar Ustig Nielsen, saying that vote will be presented tomorrow morning.
And get this. Two Chodaveldi members, Erling Eidsgaard and Lil John Way, they've come out saying they'll support the no-confidence vote. Talk about a crack in the foundation. This could really change things up in the political landscape.
It's going to be a tense day in Parliament, that's for sure. And just to add to the drama, Mia Flokkurin chairman Jens Avrana announced an investigation into Bostadir, the public housing authority. That's according to vp.o.
Now that is interesting. No details yet on what the investigation's about. Routine check. Responding to something specific, something else entirely. It definitely piques the curiosity, doesn't it? What's going on behind the scenes?
On to some other news now. Looks like tourists are going to have to start paying to use the Puslein Dorshan's public bus system.
Yeah, the city council made that decision. In.fo reported it. And vp.fo, they presented it as something that was, quote-unquote, finally adopted. So maybe this has been a topic of discussion for a while, huh?
Interesting how different outlets frame the same news. It's a good reminder to always look at things from multiple angles, right?
For sure. Now, in totally different news, both in.fo and vp.fo are highlighting Betri Bank's pretty big donation to the women's national handball team. 2.5 million DKK. That's got to help them a lot for the European Championship finals.
Definitely shows the strong support for athletics here in the Faroe Islands. Okay, let's switch gears to the cultural scene. Kringvarp Faroe and vp.fo are both spotlighting the winners of the National Cultural Awards, recognizing all sorts of artistic talent.
Absolutely. We've got Hani Blateli, the visual artist. She got the Mentanarvi Redisland Lansens, the National Cultural Award. Then there's Randy Ward, known for her work in translation. She received the Heiersgava Lansens, the National Honorary Award. And last but not least, Banir Bergson, the writer. He won the Viras Lind til Ungt Listefolk, the Young Artist Award. Quite the variety of talent.
And speaking of talent, the music scene is busy as always. In.fo is reporting on Jazzy Gold's new single, Ex-Friends, and a collaboration between Frostfelt and Asarai.
Meanwhile, vp.ofo is featuring Dagfinn and Kim's new song, T.E.E. Komiskal. It's great to see so much new music coming out.
Definitely. And for those who like the classics, vp.fo reminds us about the week-long series of concerts celebrating composer Knut Olsen. Looks like it's going to be a busy week for music lovers.
Now, for a story with some wider implications, in.o reports on Russia approving a defense agreement with North Korea. Zelensky's concerned it could escalate things towards a bigger conflict.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. And this news hits close to home for the Faroe Islands, considering their location right there in the North Atlantic.
Right. The Norwegian foreign minister, as reported by in.fo, thinks this might lead to more U.S. support for Ukraine. But it also highlights the potential risks for countries like the Faroe Islands in a world where, global powers are making these kinds of alliances. Shows you that even things happening far away can have an impact.
Yeah, it really does make you think, doesn't it? Even out here, things happening on the other side of the world can ripple out and touch us.
Absolutely. But let's circle back to what's happening right here, right now. England D. Strum's resignation, that's a big deal. And with that no-confidence vote coming up, things could get even more, shaken up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that bit from vp.fo about her offering to resign earlier adds another layer to the whole thing. Makes you wonder what was going on behind the scenes. Did they try to work something out? Was there new information that changed things? And then you've got those two Choyaveldi members, Eidsgaard and Wehe, saying they're going to support the no-confidence vote. That's going to send shockwaves through the party. Can the coalition hold together with all this going on?
Good question. It really shows how fragile things can be in a coalition government, Disagreements pop up and suddenly everything's teetering on the edge. We'll just have to wait and see what happens when they all get together in the Logting.
Speaking of unknowns, that investigation into Bostadir, the public housing authority, that's a real mystery. No details yet on why they're investigating What do you think it could be about?
It's hard to say without more info, right? Could be financial stuff, maybe mismanagement, maybe something to do with how they're allocating housing. Who knows? It definitely raises questions about transparency.
While we're waiting for more information on that, it's worth pointing out how in.fo and vp.fo reported on that decision to charge tourists for the Buslayam.
Mm.
In.fo, they presented it as a straightforward decision, just the city council doing their thing. But vp.fo used the word finally, like it was something that took a long time to happen. Maybe there are some strong opinions on that one.
Definitely a different way of framing it. It reminds us that every news outlet has its own perspective, right? Could be that this decision reflects some tension, between what the residents need and the impact of all the tourists coming in. Makes you think about how the Faroe Islands can balance the good things that tourism brings with, keeping their way of life.
Absolutely. On a brighter note, that donation from Betry Bank to the women's handball team, that's a fantastic show of support. 2.5 million DKK, that's a serious chunk of change.
Yeah, really generous of them. It's a reminder of how important that kind of corporate sponsorship is for national teams, especially for smaller countries like the Faroe Islands.
And speaking of national pride, those cultural...
Heritage of the Faroe Islands.
All right, before we move on, we can't ignore the big news on the international scene. Russia and that defense agreement with North Korea in Richnal.ofo reported on Zelensky's concerns that this could be the start of something much bigger, a global conflict.
Understandably, that's a worrying thought. And the Norwegian foreign minister's statement about potential increased U.S. support for Ukraine, well, that adds another layer to the situation, doesn't it? It's a complex geopolitical situation with potential consequences that are hard to predict.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay connected to the world around you. Thanks for joining us.